He was extreme with shit, man. He was a very insecure kid. He wanted to be bigger and bigger and bigger. You know, that's what happens in this sport. No one should be 350. Like, that's unnecessary stress on your body. He knew what he was doing, but I don't think he was comfortable with it. I feel like if you're a bodybuilder full time, your career is going to be so much shortened than if you have a real life on top of this.
Were you close with Dallas McCarver?
Yeah, so me and Dallas met in 2010, and we met because one of my best friends, his name was Trey, he lived in Tennessee in the same town as Dallas, and we were like, me and Trey were like up and coming together with bodybuilding, and he's like, my boy Dallas is coming up too, and he's young, but he has the wrong coach. Can you help him out with some stuff? And I'm like, yeah, I'll help him out. Dallas was playing football at the time. He was like 300 pounds. And he had scholarships for football, which he turned down for bodybuilding. And he could have been like a D1. He probably could have been in the NFL. The kid was a freak athlete. And
He loved bodybuilding.
He was obsessed with bodybuilding. He would bodybuild and play football. Like, he was jacked out of his mind in high school, natural. Like 300 pounds, like he was a monster. But obviously he was soft and like not like hard and grainy like a bodybuilder, but he's like, can you help him out? He has no idea what he's doing. And I'm like, yeah, sure. So I gave him my coach, which at the time was John O'Regan, and then me and Dallas stayed friends from there on, from that point. And he would come up and visit me in New York. He loved this area. He thought it was like the greatest thing ever because he's from the middle of nowhere. And, you know, he's like a hillbilly, you know, country boy. And we had a lot of good times. And every time we would go to an expo, we would room together. We roomed at the Arnold and the Olympia. We always had a room together. Even though we were on different companies, we'd stay with each other all the time. We'd go out every night.
Very close.
Yeah, very close. We talk all the time. We FaceTime. He was like my little brother. I used to have him look up to me because I was guiding him up the ranks. And then North Americans, where he turned pro, I did that show with him. And John was prepping both of us at the time, and we were in the same class. But I didn't care. It was Dallas, and it was like whatever. I knew at the time I was so cocky. I'm like, oh, this kid's not gonna fucking beat me. And I was like, I'm gonna smoke him, I don't care. So, long story short, some guy dropped dead backstage at that show at the Masters Club.
Dropped dead?
Passed out backstage, had a heart attack. At the show got delayed like 3 hours. I was using insulin at the time to carb up. I carbed up for the show, I was ready to go. Dallas was like in his own world, whatever he was doing. And then John's like, all right, you're ready to go. We go downstairs to line up, and this guy drops dead. We get delayed 3 hours. My body like goes haywire. I gain all this water and whatever. Dallas didn't do anything. He wasn't on that level yet. He wasn't taking anything like that crazy yet. He was barely taking juice at the time. And so by default, we waited 3 hours. We get back on stage. I was a mess. I took fifth. Dallas was second behind a guy named Dan Decker. And then Dan Decker took his pro card in the master's class, and Dallas moved up by default and got his pro card. So I took fifth, and Dallas won his class that year. And then that's when Dallas's career kind of, you know, he got signed with BSN, and then he kind of went from there. And then, but yeah, watching him come up was crazy. Yeah, it was nuts. But he was extreme with shit, man. He was a very insecure kid. He wanted to be bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and you know that's what happens in this sport. We all have, as a bodybuilder, you have issues looking in the mirror. You just think you're always skinny, you know. But he was battling a lot of other shit too.
But he was going, I mean, in the right direction, you think?
Yeah.
What do you say about that?
100%, I think he was going way too fast. Nobody should be 350. I was just saying it outside before we came in here. No one should be 350 fat or in shape. Like, that's unnecessary stress on your body. Especially to come down to compete at 270, you know, not even 260s. It's just not, it's unnecessary. It's so much stress on your heart between, you know, water weight and muscle and everything else. Your heart's like not capable of pumping that kind of blood. And then plus the amount of muscle he's put on in such a short period of time. Like, people always say like, oh, well, you pushed the envelope too, but I wasn't at my pinnacle until I was like 27, 28, you know, when I finally quit. I was just finally getting to where like I was an extremist, you know. So I started at 16, Dallas started at 21. He was only 4 years of taking steroids. So that put that in perspective. I had 10 years on him, and he did that in 4 years, you know, and he surpassed me, like, way beyond what I did. So I think the drugs 100% killed him, as sad as that sounds, yeah. I think his worst enemy was the sport. And it eats you. A lot of people don't know what goes on behind the scenes, and I won't expose him 100% because obviously he's not here. But people don't really know what's going on behind closed doors. They just see what the outside is, and
Of course.
people are battling their own demons. And he had demons just like everyone else does. Like I have my own demons. You have your own demons. They might not be as extreme as his, but some people just can't overcome that, and they battle that by themselves. And then he moved to Florida, away from family and friends, which I think was not a good move for him because he's very close to his family, his sister, his mom, and I think that tears people down even faster where you don't have family to turn to, like go visit and feel better. And I think you need that, in this sport. It's a very lonely, lonely, lonely world. And then he moved down there by himself to a 1-bedroom. I think that wears on you more than anything, and then you live in the gym at that point.
Right. But also, I mean, he was making a lot of headway, right? He was making a lot of people notice him. And the size thing wasn't a necessity for him because to outshadow, to even come close to being like Phil, like so round, right? He had to play the size game.
Yeah, no, and that's why I quit. I knew how uncomfortable I was at the weight I was at, I got to 320 and I was like, screw this. Like, I am not doing this. I'm uncomfortable now. Like, I'm still trying to get my weight down, People don't see that though. They just see the image, like they want to be. Like, I want to be like that. They don't know what goes into their daily life. Like, my sleep sucks. Putting my socks on is annoying. Find clothes that fit, Finding a chair to sit on for you guys sucks, It's like the normal little things become very annoying over a day-by-day repetition, But I think for him, I don't think he needed to be that big. I think it kind of almost made his physique not as pretty, I guess you could say. I think he was growing way too fast. I think he should have been where he was at maybe 10 more years down the road. I don't think there was any rush for it. He had sponsors. He was making money. Aaron Singerman was fronting everything for him. Like, what was the rush to get there?
When Dallas passed away, a lot of people said, well, bodybuilding killed him and this and that. But on the flip side, bodybuilding is an extreme sport, right? Everybody who's in bodybuilding on that level, they sort of accept it. Just the way you decided to step away from it.
Yeah. By not saying too much, he knew what he was doing, but I don't think he was comfortable with it. And I had that talk with him a couple of times. Like I said, I talked to him 3 days before he kicked the bucket.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, before he passed away. We were on FaceTime, and I told him, what I told him was basically like, you look really bad. Not physically, you just don't look healthy anymore. You're changing way too fast. And this was coming from a friend, not from somebody that wants to see him. Everyone thought maybe I was jealous because Dallas surpassed me. And
I'm sure people say that.
Yeah, they say it all the time, but like they don't understand what was going on behind closed doors with him mentally. And I told him, you're not in the right mindset to be doing what you're doing. You're going to lose your mind. And it's not going to be bodybuilding that crushes you. It's going to be the stress, the unhappiness, the sorrow, the loneliness. All that stuff's going to crush you. Not.
And what did he say about that?
He hung up the phone on me, and that was the last time I talked to him.
Oh.
And to this day, I regret even talking to him about that because I talked to him probably like once every couple of weeks, and our talks were always about that because I got so mad at him all the time. And it never was just a talk anymore because he was getting so extreme. I knew deep down it wasn't going the direction that he should be doing. And not that I'm his dad or tell him anything what to do. I'm just giving him advice from my experience doing the bad shit I did. And I had more side effects and hospital visits than he ever had. And I was telling him from experience, like, you don't want to experience what I did. You're not gonna like bodybuilding anymore. I was able to battle through because I was strong-minded and I could do it. I don't know if he would have battled through what I went through, like with the infections and almost dying with cellulitis infection and all this crazy shit that happened to me. I don't know if he would have, if that happened to him, I don't know if he would have been in the same positive light. Like, I love bodybuilding, The fun starts dissipating once you have to start pushing like that. Because then it becomes like, wow, like I told you, like you feel like a junkie. You're not happy with anything ever. You're never big enough. You're never shredded enough. You're never eating enough. You start guessing everything you're doing at that point. Because it's such a, everything's so critical. Everything you do is going to matter at the end result, It's not like basketball, you shoot 1,000 jump shots. Right. You go back the next day, shoot 1,000 jump shots. Yeah. It's different,
So three days later when he died, I mean, how did it affect you mentally?
Oh man, that was I didn't believe it. Flex Lewis and I talk, and me and Josh were friends, but we weren't like friendly. And I got a text from Flex Lewis at like, I was sleeping like 4:30. He's like, brother, give me a call. Flex never tells me to call him. So I was like, all right, I ignored it that morning. I didn't even call Flex back. I didn't text him or anything. So I thought maybe it was just a fuck up, honestly, because Flex never tells me to call him. Like we talk through text messages and stuff, we're friendly and cool. And then I call Flex and he's not answering his phone. Texting him, he's not answering me. Text Josh, not answering me. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So I text Matt Jensen, then he told me what happened. And then I just it didn't even register, to be honest with you. I didn't know what to do at that point because like I'm in New Jersey, and then he's in Tennessee. Like what do I do? You know, like it's kind of you feel like trapped almost because you're like I can't be there for anybody. Right. At the time, and it's really sad. I was like dead broke from starting everything I was doing, so I didn't have the money to even. I know it sounds like an excuse, but I had like a couple $1,000s in my name, but I didn't have the money to go spend $2,000 for a plane ticket to go to the middle of nowhere for 2 days and take a hotel, buy food, do all this crazy shit to go to his wake and funeral. So I sent his mom everything and flowers and card and everything. And I explained to her, like, listen, I'm not in a position to do that. I'd spend my last dollar on him, but there was no way I'd quit my job and I was going to spend the last $2,000 I had in my name to fly down there. So that eats me up too that I wasn't there. But I think about him every day. I have so many photos of him being together, so many videos, like so many moments that I cherish with him that I'll never get back with anybody because I had a different relationship with him, you know. He like really looked up to me. That says a lot in the sport for someone to keep that even. He surpassed me and he still looked up to me, you know. But he was about to like really break through, I feel, you know, with beyond bodybuilding. Like he had stuff going on with Matt, with the website and all this other extra stuff he was gonna do finally to help himself out with bodybuilding because bodybuilding gets very repetitive. You need other shit to do. You know, you can't just worry about this all the time. I feel like if you're a bodybuilder full time, your career is going to be so much shortened than if you have a real life on top of this. Like Branch Warren had his own world going on. Phil Heath had his own world going on. Kai's like the only one that having going on until now, recently. Ronnie Coleman always had something going on as a cop, you know. These guys had longevity because their focus wasn't 100% into this all the time. If you drive yourself nuts with this, if you sit home all day and think about it, and you do nothing. Sponsorships are like almost like your worst enemy because then you sit home and be lazy. You don't do anything, you know, and you live and die by that paycheck. You know, it's still crushing. And then the fact that Rich Piana dies too, it's like, I don't know. Not that I expected him to die, but he pushed the envelope. But the thing is, Rich was just more open about it. Dallas was very, you know, kept to himself and quiet country boy.
He was a professional too.
Yeah, right. But even seeing Rich go, I don't know Rich like that at all, and it still broke my heart. It was like, how does that happen at the same time? Like, it's very weird. So I think that was a lot of motivation for me too to start what I'm doing. It helped me push because a lot of my friends that were competing, they kind of stepped back and were like, dude, like, not that I'm doing anything what Dallas is doing, but that's scary. Like that's like it was an eye opener for a lot of people in the sport when it happened.
You think so? You think it made an impact?
Yeah. It hit waves of people.
Yeah.
I think on all levels. I think that to cherish your life a little bit more than because he put his whole life into this, and I think a lot of upcoming kids are doing that still. Like they don't have a life other than the weight room and that. Like that's their life. They go from work and they go to the gym and they go home. Like that's their their night out. Like. It's so weird that bodybuilders don't do anything else. Like I don't understand how people can just sit in their house every single night of the week and not have any social life. Like in bodybuilding world, the social life is so like red flagged. Like you can't have a social life because you're a bodybuilder, and that's not how it should be. Like you can still have friends. You can still go out and have a drink. You can go out and have dinner. And I think that's the one thing I try to preach to younger guys. Like still live your life. You don't have to sit home every night to have gains or to be the best bodybuilder in the world. You know. You can go out and have drinks and stay out for a couple hours and go home. Like there's no one telling you can just stay out all night and do a bender. You know, you can go out for a few hours and go home, have a meal, have a drink, and go to bed. You know, I don't think this world knows how to balance themselves, and I think that's the worst part about it. And Dallas had no balance once he moved there. It was just strictly the gym 2-3 times a day. And at that point, you have no friends, and he had that girlfriend for a little while, but what do you do with yourself? It's boring after a while.